So we're gonna make an Italian red sauce today, so you can put on your pasta or anything that you would put a red sauce on. And I specifically don't call it marinara because traditionally marinara has way less stuff in it than I'm gonna put in here, and I like my red sauces with lots of stuff. Okay, so those herbs are indeed my five horsemen: basil, oregano, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Garlic and onion would also be traditional for a marinara, along with those tomatoes that we're going to puree. Mushrooms are not, and specifically the Italian sausage is not. I'm using a mild one here, but I will also do this with spicy and some salt and pepper to boot. Let's get the herbs ready, and yes, these are all indeed from the laundry room garden now. Get a nice fine chop on all these guys, set that aside. That's going to go into the sauce eventually. And after that, we're going to start working on some veggies. First off is this giant head of garlic that I'm going to abuse the heck out of. Eventually get to the point that I have a whole bunch of little skinless cloves, and then chop the heck out of that until it's ready to go. That's going to go in this little glass bowl next to me, where I'm also going to put the onions, because the garlic and onions go in at the same time. Onion we're going to give basically a fine chop, quarter-inch pieces, maybe a little bit smaller. And these two are traditional marinara, by the way, so if you just had tomatoes, this, and the herbs, you'd be good to go. But I like a little meatiness in there, so I'm going to do a rough chop on these mushrooms. These are white button mushrooms, the cheapest ones you can buy. I normally would do baby Bellas, but those are good too. Can of tomatoes. And when I first brought this out, I thought, I'm not sure if I have enough tomato, and I don't want to go with a whole nother huge can. So I just took a smaller can of diced tomatoes, added it in, and then I'm going to add that herb mixture. You can see that going in, and then it'll be time to take this guy off and do a little blending action after we do some salt and pepper in here. A couple teaspoons of each, just to add a little flavor, offset the acidity. And then after we blend this, it's going to be sort of full of air. So it's good to get this part done early so it can sit and the air can move on out. Now you see kind of the orangish color. That means it's full of air. So this is just going to sit now while we start cooking the pork. Over to the stove top we go. A couple tablespoons of olive oil in my big Le Creuset stock pot. I love this thing. Get a little heat going there, and then the Italian sausage is going to go in. Let that get to sizzling, and then start breaking it up, and eventually you'll get to brown it like this. And once you're browned, it's time for the garlic and onions to come into play here. And what you're looking for is for the garlic to become fragrant and the onions to become a little softer and translucent. So a couple minutes maybe, and then you'll be able to move on to the next bit. Give them a bit of a stir, and then when you feel like you've achieved the right level of doneness of your onions and garlic, then it'll be time to bring the mushrooms into play. And the thing about cooking with mushrooms you got to keep in mind is they're mostly water. So we're going to get them in here and get them stirred in a bit. And then once we've got them all incorporated, we're just going to cover this and let those mushrooms give up their liquid. Once they have, you'll see they've reduced in volume a fair amount. And they've also started to deglaze your pot for you. In fact, there is no stuck stuff on the bottom here at all. But I still want to add some wine. That's State Route 262. It's a Merlot out of Washington State. Really good. And it helps if you take the top off before you try to pour it in there. I don't know, quarter cup or so. Add some flavor. And now that we got everybody happy and melded, it's time for the tomatoes. And if it hasn't given up all its air, it will in this step. So get that all stirred up. Basically, it's a usable sauce now, but the longer you give it together on a simmer, the better off it'll be. I recommend waiting at least an hour. So I figured there's limited value in showing you that I could cook dry pasta out of a box, but I did this with some rotini, but you can really do it with any pasta you like. You can also put it on top of veal cutlets, or the possibilities are endless. This is a really, really flavorful and good red sauce, and you can can it and stick it in your fridge for weeks. Give it a try.